Welcome to MojoPlays, and today we're looking at 10 Nintendo games that never left Japan. For this list, we'll be looking at games that, for some reason, never made their way over to North America or the rest of the world. Some titles gain fan bases when they get released in new territories, like Sin and Punishment and Live Alive, or Live Alive, however you say it, just to name a few. So it's interesting to think about what might have happened if these games had left their home country. What game that is stuck in Japan do you wish would get released worldwide? Let us know in the comments. Before we continue, we publish content all week long, so be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos. Excitebike, Bun-bun Mario Battle. When it comes to games stranded in Japan, we should probably start with the Satellaview game. Excitebike Bun-bun Mario Battle was released via the Super Famicom attachment Satellaview and was released in 4 episodes. Each episode added a new character, with the exception of episode 4, which for some reason replaced Luigi with Yoshi. Excitebike Bun-bun Mario Battle plays just like classic Excitebike on the NES, moving up and down the track to avoid hazards and reach the finish line as fast as possible. Being on the SNES instead of the NES, the game looks great and has an art style familiar to Super Mario All-Stars. Obviously, this never left Japan due to being released exclusively on the Satellaview, which never left Japan either. It's a shame we never got a release on Virtual Console or Nintendo Switch Online. Nintendo Wars series. Most know about Advance Wars, the GBA military strategy game, but what if I was to tell you that the series dates all the way back to 1988? The Nintendo Wars series started back on the Famicom with Famicom Wars. The first entry is even playable if you can't read Japanese, but later entries will prove to be a little difficult if you can't. There were a total of 6 games released before Advance Wars, on 3 different consoles, Famicom, Game Boy, and Super Famicom. I wonder if the series would have gotten as popular as it did if we would have seen NES Wars or SNES Wars. Probably not, as the main draw of Advance Wars was the iconic characters. Mario Artist Series. The Nintendo 64 DD was an amazing add-on that could have been a big thing, but of course, failed. With the DD never leaving Japan, there are a handful of interesting titles that never made it outside the country either. One of them being the Mario Artist series. Similar to Mario Paint on the SNES, the Mario Artist series was more an art program than an actual game. 4 Mario Artist games were released. Paint Studio, which is essentially Mario Paint with a new coat of paint. Talent Studio took players' pictures and added them to 3D models, which could then be animated. Communication Kit allowed players to share their creations from all Mario Artist titles. Sadly, this was only live for a year. Finally, Polygon Studio gave players the ability to create 3D characters and explore a world with their creations to unlock more items to create with. Starfy series. While we already have a hyper-cute Nintendo character in Kirby, Starfy could have easily taken his spot. There were 4 games in the Starfy series before the 2008 DS game, The Legendary Starfy, made its way outside of Japan. The GBA series was a cute platformer mainly being played underwater, but does have some on-land platforming. While underwater, Starfy's movement is a bit more free, moving left-right, up and down, but when on land, the game plays more like a traditional platformer. The first 4 games can easily be played by anyone since Starfy isn't story-heavy, and if you're able to get your hands on a copy, I'm sure you'll love it. Also, play the DS game, it's great! Wrecking Crew 98. Let's take the original 1985 Wrecking Crew and turn it into a puzzle game. Wrecking Crew 98 did just that, and it's great. Similar to games like Tetris, Wrecking Crew 98 is a falling block puzzle game where Mario must demolish all the high-rises Bowser is building in the Mushroom Kingdom. The most interesting thing about Wrecking Crew is how it was originally released. The game was released on a Nintendo Power flashable cartridge before having a full retail release. Wrecking Crew 98 made its way to the Wii U Virtual Console, but this was also exclusive to Japan. Mario and Wario. We need more reasons to use our Super Nintendo mouse. Mario and Wario is a puzzle game where Wario throws a bucket over Mario's head, and we have to guide him to the exit with Wanda, using only the Super Nintendo mouse. I suppose it actually would have been called the Super Famicom mouse, but you get the point. The odd thing about this release was that it was planned to make it to other regions, even being showed off in gaming magazines and being entirely in English. With the unique controls, I think it would be safe to say we may never get this re-release. Pokemon Card GB2 Team Great Rocket is here. Digital card games are a blast. It's the thrill of collecting without spending a boatload of actual money on random packs. In the late 90s and early 2000s, Pokemon cards were at their peak of popularity, and so was the Game Boy. So why wasn't Pokemon GB2 released outside of Japan? Probably due to translating all the text that comes along with a card game. The gameplay is similar to the first game with a few additions and tweaks to the gameplay. Probably the most useful feature is the deck diagnostic, which will give players tips on building decks and even critique your current deck. Luckily, if you really want to play this, there is a fan translation out there. Tingle series. Tingle is such a weird character, very Japanese if you ask me, so it makes sense that his games never left Japan. There were 4 games in the Tingle series. Freshly picked Tingle's Rosy Rupee Land was the first game in the series, with players collecting rupees to get into Rupee Land. This game was released in Europe and fully translated to English. Tingle's Balloon Fight is Balloon Fight, just with Tingle, and was only available through the Japanese Club Nintendo. Too Much Tingle Pack was a DSiWare exclusive app that had a few applications within it. Some of the apps were a calculator, timer, coin flipper, and a dancing Tingle. Finally, Ripen Tingle's Balloon Trip of Love is a point-and-click game where Tingle gets sucked into a different world and must dance with the princess to go back home. Donkey Konga 3. Just like the Super Nintendo mouse, can we please have another reason to break out our Donkey Konga bongos? Donkey Konga 3 is just more of the same fun Donkey Konga gameplay. Play the song to the beat with your bongos. The third and final installment had 50 songs spanning from J-pop, classical, western, and even Famicom songs. I'm not totally sure why this never left Japan, but if you can find your way through the menus, it's easily played without knowing Japanese. I think I might have to get my hands on this. I really want to play This Here Is Mona Pizza. Captain Rainbow. Sometimes we forget about old Nintendo characters. Ironically, Captain Rainbow is an exclusive Japanese Wii game that has you playing as Captain Rainbow and going around the world to help forgotten Nintendo characters fulfill their dreams. Little Mac put on a few pounds after not getting a new game, and it's our job to help him get into boxing shape. The Devil from Devil World wants to become the top baddie again. Birdo wants to become a sexy dynamite monster. Yes, that's actually in the game. Captain Rainbow was a game that celebrated Nintendo's forgotten history, and it's a shame it never made its way out of Japan. we could have seen the Famicom Wars soldiers finally become good at volleyball, which could be a good spin-off. Did you enjoy this video? Check out some other clips from MojoPlays, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.